Can I improve the performance of my TX200 in .22 caliber? Welcome to or welcome back to the channel, whichever one it is. As always, I'm just really glad that you're here. A few videos ago, I shot my HW77 alongside my TX200, both in .22 caliber, and there was a resounding response that the TX200 should have definitely performed better than it did, and I completely agree. So in this video, I'm going to be fitting a tin bum tuning kit, as well as stripping the mechanism for the trigger down and polishing up the sears. I've actually just put this together, haven't I? So specifically for cleaning up these gun parts, for all these other bits and pieces I've got, it'll be the first time I get to use this. I'm going to strip the mechanism apart, polish up the sears and all the mating faces and try to get them to a mirror finish, and hopefully the improvement on the trigger is going to make some difference to the grouping. I'm back in Jet's kitchen, and she's actually not in hospital, so I have to be very careful of the mess that I do make today. I'm going to start by taking off the scope, stripping the rifle down, and we'll take it from there, I think. Now, I've actually done quite a bit of work on this rifle, so I do know the internals of it relatively well. I wouldn't say perfectly well. So what we're going to be doing today, if all goes to plan, is I want to strip this. I'm going to strip this trigger set, and then I'm going to take all the internals out. I'm going to clean them up as well as I can and do my very best to get everything inside the mechanism working smooth and clean and crisp and all good and stuff. Right, so in the TBT kit, you get your spring, your main spring, you get the spring guide and top hat. This is a two-piece top hat. If they're difficult to get out, mine's actually slipping out quite well, but you just have to twist them in anti-clockwise fashion. So that one will go in there, and there you go. So that'll be your spring put together. You've got a short stroke adapter, or short stroke extension, sorry, for the piston, some breech seals, some moly grease, and some I forgot what these are called, power washers. And you also get some bum slide, which is a great moly grease. I've been using this on quite a few things actually. Some emery cloth, and of course the sticker. Only criticism I will give, I want bigger stickers, Nick. What's that? Come on. I want like a big one. I want a proper big TBT sticker. Come on. Right, so that's basically that's your kit. That's your tin bum tuning kit, and that's what's going to be fitted today. That's not the issue today. I've fitted a couple of TBT kits now. The problem is going to be the trigger set. I've never done that before, so that's going to be where the challenge lies for me today. So to take this apart, all we need to do is we need to remove this here, which I should do now. Take the pressure on that. You see what I'm doing there? Take him out, and that releases the pressure. So the tension's now off. So now you've got your back block. I'm going to put this to one side for a minute because I want to concentrate mostly on this trigger block. These two pins here, these get punched out, and that should release, well, it will release the trigger mechanism. So let's do that. Actually, that one's been out a few times, as you can tell. Both of them have. What you've got to be careful of is the safety catch inside there. You don't want to lose that spring. Probably best I just take that out and put it in my little magnetic dish. By the way, I bought this off of Temu, whatever it's called. This little dish, I had no idea it was going to be that small. It was when it arrived, it was actually a bit of a joke. I genuinely thought it was going to be at least a bigger. So I'm going to see whether or not everything does actually fit in there today. But you know, better than nothing, isn't it? So that's the block there. Like, that can get put to one side for a minute. I haven't dealt with triggers much. I was convinced that this one was quite stiff. Full disclosure, I actually took it to Celtic Guns today. Massive shout out to Celtic Guns. And Bryn actually put his device on it to see what the trigger pull was like. And it wasn't as bad as I thought. It is different to the to the HW77, but it wasn't as bad. It actually sears off quite nicely. So I don't know what excuses I was trying to make there, but there was definitely excuses being made. Okay, so if we have a quick look at the trigger, I don't know anything about adjusting triggers. I've never, like I said, I've never really done it. But just inside here, you've got two grub screws. You adjust those and it changes the first and second stage from what I understand. There's also another adjustment, I think it's this one, and that adjusts something. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but these are the three adjustments that you've got. So I'm going to be tweaking about with these in a sec. It's actually not too bad at all, but there's nothing wrong with improving it, is there? There's nothing wrong with taking that crunchiness out. So I'm just going to go ahead and punch these out now. Don't know that they're, oh, no, they're not tight. No, they're not tight at all. Trying to be a bit more gentle with these pins because people did comment about how I was being a little bit rough with them. I didn't need nothing on those really. Right, so that's the pins out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll push that roll pin out. Maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't. Not today, ads. It's always one in there, they say. There he goes. There's a little spring there. Don't want to lose any of these bits because, well, obviously you don't want to lose any of these bits. I'm going to clean this up as well as I can. I'm going to get some brake cleaner in through that, clean all of that out, so that can go to one side for a minute. But here is the trigger itself, and it is actually a little bit gunky. I don't know if you can tell that. It's, you know, it's not as clean as it could be. Right, to give you a rough idea of how it all goes, that's pretty much basically. It's not under any tension, obviously, but the adjustment that you've got is on the trigger here. So your first stage is on this first grub screw, and then when it hits the second one is when it sears, from what I understand. This little spring here sits in this little indentation here, like that, and you adjust that. Let's take that off. With that grub screw there. So that grub screw comes out. It's got a bit of Loctite on it, but it hasn't been doing much. And I think that spring will fit back down through that hole. It does, which is good. So when it all goes back together, I could drop that spring back down in that hole. And that grub screw puts tension onto this sear. And you can control the tension on the sear, which, yeah. And basically, you haven't got to polish a lot of it. From what I understand, the only polishing you have to do is this edge and this edge, and then also this edge and this edge. Now I'm looking at this now, and the videos that I've seen, these look different. I'm wondering whether or not somebody has ground these off. Don't know if that make a difference. Don't know if that's causing me a problem. I don't know. But I'm going to polish this edge and this edge. And that's it. It also doesn't look very central. So let me know in the comments if that's going to be part of my problem. I'm going to stop moaning about it now and just get on with it. I'm going to go ahead now, tidy up this a little bit, get the grinder, get the polishing kit out. You don't need to see me do this, to be fair. You don't need to see me do this bit. Like, all I'm going to do is degrease all these parts. Once I've degreased them, I'll get the grinder out, I'll get the polisher out, and we'll polish up those edges just to a nice mirror finish, and hopefully that's going to make a difference. We'll see.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
I've polished these up. I even did the trigger a little bit, trying to make that look a little bit nicer. But as you can see, mirror shiny. Now I'm a bit concerned about some of the bits that have been ground off, but I'm just going to go with it. It's all I've got to go with. So as you can see, those mating faces are shiny now. Now all I've got to do is put this back together. What I want to do is just get a thin wipe, not a great deal. Cleaned all of the grinding compounds and everything off of all of this. Just going to get a bit of oil for all of it. It doesn't really need a lot. It's a little coating of oil on everything. Clean the trigger up a little bit as well, the blade. So hopefully that'll look nice when it goes back in. Going back together, we're going to build it from the bottom, kind of that way around anyway. So this one needs to be fed in. It loops around inside there. You can see that fixed pin there. It loops around that. It feeds in like that. So then we've got a pressed roll pin that goes in there. Just get him in a minute. Absolutely not lined up. Tell you what, if I line it up that way. Ah, turn it over, ads. Turn it over. There we go. Right, so that's him in. But what I've done here, right, it's got to come back out. The reason it's got to come back out is because what I've done, like an absolute pro, like a pro plank, is I've got that the wrong way up like that. He's supposed to go in like this, I do believe. Not the way that I had it. So that needs to be underneath that. So for anybody else who's doing this, make sure that your catch is outside, because I just bullsed it there. But we won't talk about that. Maybe we'll edit it out. I don't know. But if you, that's a good little tip there though. Turn it over. Turn it over, you can line it up. Right, so now we've got that one in. We now have to get the pin for that one in. Right, so that roll pin goes in there. Now that pin oh, too far. Pushing back out a touch. And again, if I turn it over, I can line the hole up from this side. So this is just a fiddly bit, I think. I think it's manageable. There we go, give that a little, there we go, right, so he's in. Right, so now we've got some spring load on there. Right, look at that. So they're under tension, that one's under tension. So far so good. So now we have to get this one in, and now this little pot there faces up. That little pot faces towards the top here, so I just have to manipulate him in now. So we have to get this one there into there. Aha. Right, so there it is, that's where it needs to go. Okay, all right. Now we drop that spring back in through the top there, and drop that grub screw back in on the top of that spring. Okay, now that's going to create some tension. Right, so we're locked in. I can't actually believe it's working. So then your trigger blade, there are 2 pins there, as you can see. 2 pinholes. I believe it fits in the bottom one. That probably stops it rocking too far that way. I don't remember how I took it out, but I'm guessing common sense in my head, and this is where everyone's going, nope, you're wrong. Well, common sense fails me, I suppose. Right, so let's go with my first idea. If it doesn't work, then I know that they're the 2 that I've got in the wrong place. Right. So let's set it a second. Oh, flew off. So we've got first stage. Oh, that's a lot more, that's way more responsive actually. I know that it wasn't a very difficult trigger before. I'm gonna go with that, I think. Very happy with that. Right, that's a very gentle trigger now. So, right, let's get on to the next stage. Change the battery in the GoPro, clear up some mess, and we'll come back for the stripping down and fitting of the TBT kit. So far so good. I'm quietly quite confident in myself now. It's a pretty big deal because it's only a couple of months since I started shooting, really, like 6 months or something, and I would never have imagined that I'd be taking guns apart, let alone a trigger mechanism, but I'm actually really pleased with how smooth that is. I've just shown Jet, she went, but yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Anyway, right, so let's crack on with this bit. So I've done this before, I've had this apart before. We've got a metal spring guide in there. We've got the original spring. Right, let's do that bit again. Right, I've just stripped it down and didn't switch the GoPro on. So what I wanted to show you was the 2 springs. The one that I took out versus this is the new one, and this is the one that I took out. They're actually massively different sizes. This one's a good 1.5 inches bigger. So it might be that I need to do something, cut some links off or cut some rings off. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to go with it for now. That one's going to go in. I've taken the cocking shoe off. Give that a clean up and probably a polish in a bit. See whether or not that helps. But either way. So the cocking arm has come away nicely as well. So they can all go out the way for a second. And what I'm going to do now is, and there is, all of these bits here now are going to be massively clean. You don't need to see me cleaning them. It's basically a lot of elbow grease. Get right in there with some parts cleaner. Get them in, clean it out, and then yeah, I'll be right back. Right, I can't lie. The polishing is brilliant. Absolutely, probably one of the best things I've invested money in. Polished everything up as nicely as I could, but look at that. I don't think it's going to do it any justice. Look, come on. So all I've done is it's it all with brake cleaner. It was pretty manky in there, to be honest, even though I only did it recently. So I cleaned all around in here, and then I shoved the thing up through there, cleaned all of that out. In the polishing process, this actually came off, but I don't think that's that big a deal because this is actually going on. So let's do that now a second. So that's quite very simple. These grub screws around the outside. These little grub screws around the outside, So I do believe that that's short stroked because that would have been that big. One of the other things that I noticed when I was talking about the size of the spring being different is the tin bum spring is thus length. So that's the new spring. There's the old spring. But in the end of this old spring, instead of that was that. That brings that up a little bit more, something like it, doesn't it? So it's gone from being that much to that much bigger. So it might work out well in the end. But this metal spacer here, I do believe is replaced with that. So I've taken all of these metal parts out now. I'm going to keep them because obviously these are the parts that it came with, and Air Arms are notorious for being very well built. What I'm going to do now, from what I remember, I'm going to try and do this without looking on the internet because I'm pretty sure I remember how this goes. So this is the tin bum. I'm going to put a very thin layer up and down here. It doesn't need to be a great deal. It just needs a light smattering of it. Very, very light. All right. Happy with that so far. Oh, I actually polished the latch rod as well. Polished that up while I was polishing everything. Went on a mad polishing frenzy, I'm not going to lie. And you want a little bit of the TBT tin bum gear around these parts too. And what he suggests, and I don't know if it's the same on this one, is to just scrape a little tiny bit on the end there for the latch rod to pick up. So I'll do that. A little bit on there, nothing major. It's a little bit in there for the latch rod to pick up. Right, so those two are greased. Now it comes to greasing the spring. Greasing up the spring's a little bit different. You don't need a great deal of it. People keep complaining whenever I do anything, any of my own sort of fettling, gunsmithing, anytime I try to do anything, there's always somebody who says I've done something wrong, and that's absolutely fine. Everybody does it differently, but what I tend to do is probably overdo this grease here. All I'm going to do is close it up in my hand like that, like this. And then I'm going to very lightly on each side pull it through until I've got a load of grease. Probably too much now, but I can wipe any excess off thusly. So it looks like there's a lot on there, but there we go. That's that. So now we just got to put it back together. Now there's probably something I've missed, but I've tried to do this all blind without any hints and tips. Breech seals, I checked the breech seal, it seemed absolutely fine. And I wasn't losing any power anywhere. So don't think that there's a problem with any breech seals, but I've got them if I do need to go back into that. And I know people will probably say change them while you're there anyway, but being completely honest with you, I wouldn't know how to. I don't want to dig anything out and it turn out to not be a breech seal. That would be something I had to research for the future. So we're just going to go with what I've already been trawling the internet to figure out. So to put him back together, we're going to take the top hat part, and that is going to go to one end of the spring. So then we go straight in with that one. And now when you locate this over there, you get a bit of grease on the latch rod on the way in, and that's something like it from what I understand. So we slide it in down inside there. It makes it as far as the anti-bear trap. Click that, and in she goes. Now that looks much better polished, just saying. So we pull this one back, let the cock and shoe in. This here piece with the very brittle looking end on it, because it is very brittle, it locates in underneath, it latches in. So that has to be round that way for it to latch. So yeah, I can figure that out. I'm not as daft as I think. Press the bear trap again. There we go. He should go in there. If we do that, what we should be able to do then is get him. Was there any shims in there? There probably should be some shims, but I don't remember any coming out, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay, so let's get that bad boy back in. I think it was that one, wasn't it? Okay, so he's located back in there. Oh, bear trap works. He can clip up like that. he slides in there like that. So let's put this one back in. First we've got to put the trigger back in to the block. Put the trigger back in the block is actually, it's fiddly, but it's not impossible, obviously. So we saved that. I made sure that I didn't mess about with that too much. And he just pops back through the safety catch space like that. So he goes in. Now you have to hold this from what I remember, and your trigger, I think it's best if you cock it from what I also remember. This is the fiddly part. We're gonna hook in like that, and then these pins go long pin first, and then short pin second. Now that was a little bit too easy for my liking. Went a little bit too easy, didn't it? Okay, so far so good. And that's the trigger mechanism back together. That's the trigger mechanism relocated back into the block. Now all we got to do is buoy that on there. If you see this hole here has to locate with that hole there. To do that, it's best to put something down to give it a bit more purchase like that. I don't know if you can see that now, but I'm afraid I think I've got it. I'll give it a couple more twists. Right. So we'll nip him up there. Right, so he's good and tight in there now. So the spring's working. So what I want to do now is literally cobble it all back together. Cobble it all back together is what I meant to say. I don't know where cobble came from. That's a brand new one on me. So he's going to fall back into there. And then all we're going to do is a big bad boy in there. A little bad boy in there. And then the two side ones. Okay, so let's give that a quick buzz over, give it a quick clean. That cover there looks so much better now. Right, all I'm going to do in the kitchen now is I'm going to make sure everything cocks, make sure it fires, and then the next part of the video I'm going to go elsewhere and we'll figure out all of the finer points of it and see whether or not it's actually shooting any more accurate. But does it cock? Yeah, so far so good. Does feel a bit tighter on the spring, I'm not gonna lie, so maybe it does need something taken off of it. Fires. So far so good. I'll do a little bit of tweaking about, try and tune the trigger in. We'll go down there and we'll see whether or not these little tweaks that I've made have improved any accuracy, and whether or not the TX200 is now as good as some of the other TX200s out there. Let's go and have a look. And just like magic there, here we are. It's a few days later and I'm in a completely different place. Just let me start this little bit by saying it's never lost on me how lucky I am. And this morning, it's a few days since doing the work on this. I literally this morning, I had some time and I really wanted to try it because I haven't tried this out. And I really wanted to try it out. So I just literally phoned Darren. I said, is there any chance I could? He said, come over, just come over, do it. He said, it's raining, but come over and do it anyway. It's not raining at this precise moment, but it was this morning. So massive, massive thank you to Darren. If you want any booking information, I'll leave his phone number in the description. Give him a shout and yeah, over the moon with it. So here I am. Right, so don't expect miracles. I've not really had a chance to play with the trigger. Like I said, I've done the work on this. I took a couple of shots out in the garden just to make sure that everything was working. And it's been chronoed. It chronoed a little bit high for my liking. It was about 11.5. If it doesn't settle down over time, then I think I'll probably make some steps towards lowering that down. I don't think it needs to be 11.5, especially if there's a risk of it going over. I don't really want that. So I'll leave it as it is for now. There's a good chance it will settle down. The TBT kit could be bedding itself in. Whatever science is happening in there, I don't know, but we'll go with that. Right, I'm using some JSB Exact Jumbos, 15.89 grain. I'm not expecting miracles. I'm not expecting the tightest of groups. I'm just expecting to see how it performs after I've ripped it apart and done stuff to it. Let's just see how it goes. Safety catch works. That's always a plus. Right, so the first stage, it's a definite first stage, I'd say. Oh. Like I said, I fired it a few times, but I've just been firing it. I haven't really been paying attention to how it's firing or anything like that. But that let go really, really nicely. Wow. can I say? Those 5 shots were absolutely brilliant. I'm very, very happy with that. Buzzing with it. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now because I'm going to obviously make some more content with it, see what else it can do, maybe change the scope and see if I can get a bit further with it. But for a 25-meter group with a rifle that wasn't grouping very well at all until I played with the trigger, until I put the TBT kit in it, I'm very, very happy with those 5 shots. Right, I don't really know what else to say, to be fair. I mean, like I said earlier on in the video, I haven't been shooting for very long, and I'm not the most practical-minded of people, but needs must sometimes, and I've had to get involved and take it apart and take the plunge and be brave and have a go at it, and it's actually paid off for me this time. And I know that's only 5 shots over 25 meters, and it could just all be luck, I don't know. But I will be doing some more work with this rifle, and I will be taking it a little bit further and seeing what else it can do. But for now, I'm just gonna take that as a win. That's a massive, massive win for me. So from me and the TX200, I'm going to call that video there. So thank you as always for watching this video. I massively appreciate it. It was a real eye-opener for me. There is some more HFT stuff coming up. Me and Adam have just got to make diaries meet and things like that. In between that, it's going to be whatever it is whatever shooting I've done in the week, I'll make a video and I'll post it. That's pretty much what the ethos of this channel is. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hugely appreciate every single one of you. Thank you to Darren at D-Range for letting me come back as always. Like and subscribe if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to though. It's your YouTube. You do with it whatever you wish. Whatever makes you happy. That'll make me happy. If you're happy, I'm happy. Let's all just be happy. So I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers and bye.